Hello and welcome back. So, let's go through some recent episodes. We've been going through shapes on Earth, North America. We've been going through the presence of Norse mythology, uh, descriptions, and like relative details, like on, for example, Nidhogg is gnawing at the roots of the tree of life, and there's the eagle and the hawk at the top of the tree of life, with the stags eating the leaves of the tree of life. And so I recently have been talking about this in episodes about Colorado, not directly about it even, like it came recently to be about it, but more so I was talking about this region, this region, this region, this region, this region. So I haven't really talked about this region, honestly, and this nostril is maybe cheating. This one not so much, but this one, I mean, sure, this one is more like in the data, if you will. This one I just drew. Honestly, let's check it out. Like, it's kind of there if you like limit it to where this stuff ends, like here, but it kind of just continues. Maybe it goes this way, but like it has this feature. It's not quite as cool of a dragon nostril as this nostril. This one looks like straight up like this, pretty much. I misdrew it a little bit, but oh. But this is Nidhogg. According to Norse mythology, this is my interpretation, is that the global flood was Ragnarok. And just going from that lens, and like supposing, like entertaining the possibility, not necessarily saying it is, but like as I entertain the possibility, it becomes more and more plausible that maybe it was, and that basically what happened is Norse mythology, which originates around like 1000 AD or something, 500 AD. Really, its written origin is then, and its oral tradition is unknown. So I'm thinking maybe it dates back significantly further to the point of pre-flood, where the stories were passed on, but then the awareness that the event had passed was lost. Even if they like knew at the time, the awareness seems to have just disappeared, where like Ragnarok didn't happen, it didn't happen, but it happened. Like once enough generations were born, they lost that understanding somehow, even though I don't know, that's just a thought. So anyway, Nidhogg is this side. Then we've got opposite to Nidhogg. If we go to maybe Gurnar, I think it might be here, Birdman. If we go to Birdman, Birdman has bird eye around him with the storm, and we talked about this in the last episode or so. So the hawk with the eagle of Norse mythology at the top of the tree of life. So the thought is maybe the earth itself is or the world tree. I keep saying tree of life. The world tree. The earth itself is the world tree. And we discussed the ear and how the currents are going into the ear and out of the ear, maybe here even. I'm not sure. Not sure what to make of this exact spot, except for that it's like fits the earring and is part of the trail that the doom-shaped storm of Egyptian mythology that it was the result of the attack on ancient Dwarka of Hindu mythology. So you can see just how many things we're talking about here. Hinduism, mythology, like features thereof, and immediately just adjacent Egyptian mythology of the doom shape. And then we've got like Native American, maybe Hopi or something. I don't remember where these are from, but basically Native American and their types of perspectives of things, as well as Norse mythology with the eagle and the hawk, where the hawk has a name that means storm bale, where the storm discharged to the eyeball of Girnar, which is, by the way, Mount Meru and Temple Mount. Literally, its name is Temple Mount. It's covered in temples and it's a mountain. So, that's my thoughts. There's a bunch of things going on here, but like recently, as you can see up here, Odin, in the last episode, I was like, well, Odin, what I know, like, let's just read this. Odin is one of the most complex and enigmatic characters in Norse mythology and perhaps in all of world literature. He's the ruler of Aesir, of the Aesir tribe. Aesir tribe of deities, yet he often ventures far from their kingdom, Asgard, which we've interpreted to possibly be at literally Sri Lanka, just like post-flood, it's Sri Lanka, where evidence is hidden, perhaps. Although there's that stone we saw there that has runes that are like Odin lost his eye to learn about. Somewhere in here we'll find it. What's in a name? Hilarious. Speaking of Mount Girnar. Mount Girnar. The catalyst. What is in a name? The formation is known by many names. By Jains, it is known as Mount Nemaneth, where Lord Nemanatha is said to have obtained nirvana. It is also believed to be the location where the next 24 Tirthankaras will obtain nirvana, which is tying into Jainism. Girnar comes from the root Sanskrit word of gir, meaning addressing, invoking, invocation, praise, song, a mountain, and nar, meaning a man, husband, hero, the primordial man, a lion-hearted man. It is also known as Girinagar, Giri meaning mountain, hill, and Nagar meaning city, town. Additionally, the mountain is known as Parvata. Revata means a boar, a bamboo cane, a whirlwind, which I put in bold because Girnar formed in a whirlwind. And Parvata, in terms of the geology that record shows, means a mountain, hill, a rock, and artificial mountain or heap. The number 7, a tree, a kind of vegetable, a cloud mountain like. It's literally a mountain. It's a cloud-like mountain. Like it has its peak and then it's surrounded by this ring. It literally is like a mountain cloud. Anciently, it was known as Revatagiri and Ujjayantagiri, where Ujjayanta refers to temple or building, and Giri again means city or means mountain or hill. So temple, mountain, or hill, mount. So Revata means brilliant, rich, wealthy, plentiful, splendid, beautiful. Its first names were Kailash Giri and Svarna Giri. Kailasa refers to a type of temple and is associated with a mountain in Tibet, and it means crystal. Kailasa is also the name of the temple carved into a mountain at the Ellora Caves in Maharashtra, India. Svarna means gold. This temple is carved into a mountain, and it's named a similar name to another name Mount Girnar has. Okay, but anyway, point is, It's the eye of the both the eye of the eagle and the eye of the eagle and the eye of the hawk. I mean, this it honestly is not. I don't see it that hawk-like, but like nothing on here is like perfectly the shape like that. Let's check out some hawks. Hawk in flight. Go like that. Honestly, the way that this is not terrible. I guess it's pretty sharp of a beak. It's kind of odd. It's certainly not like looking like that so much, which is pretty spot on for what we would want it to look like, if you will, like one of these like this one. Although this one's actually flying the right direction and a little more straight on where it only has one wing. So this one's even better. And this one honestly looks at least somewhat like it. This is like this way when in reality it's more this way. And so like things like that are like, anyway, let's go on though. Ruler, yet he often ventures far from their kingdom Asgard on long solitary wanderings throughout the cosmos on purely self-interested quests. He's a relentless seeker after and giver of wisdom, but he has little regard for communal values such as justice, fairness, or respect for law and convention. He's the divine patron of rulers and also of outlaws. He's a war god. Fuck yeah, Odin. Yeah, bro. But also a poetry god, and he has a prominent effeminate effeminate qualities that would have brought unspeakable shame to any historical Viking warrior. He's worshipped by those in search of prestige, honor, and nobility, yet he's often cursed for being a fickle trickster. What kind of literary figure, let alone a god, whose historical worship spanned much of a continent and several centuries, could possibly embody all these qualities at once with their apparently glaring contradictions? What's in a name? As mentioned above, Odin's name can be translated as Master of Ecstasy. I guess that was up here. Oh yeah. Odin. Okay. His Norse name, Odin, is formed from two parts. First, the noun Odre, ecstasy, fury, inspiration, and the suffix in, the masculine definite article, which, when added to the end of another word like this, means something like the master of or a perfect example of. The 11th century historian Adam of Bremen confirms this when he translates Odin as the Furious. That's very odd that within 100 years of it being supposedly like originating as a like when it's dated, people say like 1000 AD. Like in that time frame, we've got historians translating it. That's a little odd to me. Odor can take countless different forms. As one saga describes Odin, when he sat with his friends, he gladdened the spirits of all of them, but when he was at war, his demeanor was terrifyingly grim. This ecstasy that Odin embodies and imparts is the unifying factor behind the myriad areas of life with which he is especially associated: war, sovereignty, wisdom, magic, shamanism, poetry, and the dead. War. In modern popular culture, Odin is often portrayed as being an eminently honorable ruler and battlefield commander, not to mention impossibly muscular, but to the ancient Norse he was nothing of the sort. In contrast, To more straightforwardly noble war gods such as Tyr or Thor, Odin incites otherwise peaceful people to strife with what, to modern taste, is a downright sinister glee. His attitude is not far from Nietzsche's dictum, "You say it is the good cause that hallows even war. I say unto you, it is the good war that hallows any cause." What exactly does this mean? Honor. Make holy. That makes holy even war. It is the good war that makes holy any cause. In keeping with his associations with sovereignty, see below, Odin doesn't generally concern himself with average warriors, preferring instead to lavish his blessings only on those whom he deems to be worthy of them. Many of the greatest Germanic heroes, such as Starkad, and the Volsung family, have enjoyed Odin's patronage. He maintains greatest Germanic heroes. He maintains particularly close affiliations with the Berserkers, which I guess is some form of shaman warrior, and other warrior shamans whose fighting techniques and associated spiritual practices center around achieving a state of ecstatic unification with certain ferocious totem animals, usually wolves or bears, and by extension with Odin himself, the master of such beasts. Thus, as a war god, Odin is principally concerned not with the reasons behind any given conflict or even its outcome, but rather with the raw, chaotic battle frenzy, one of the primary manifestations of odor that permeates any such struggle. Odor permeates. I don't know if there's any relationship there. Does odor have a relationship to Odin? Odin's preference for the elite extends to all realms of society. As the chief of the Aesir gods, he's the divine archetype of a ruler. He's the legendary founder of numerous royal lines, and kings are as likely as shamanistic warriors to claim him as their beneficiary. This one's pretty long. Odin's pretty relevant to the Norse mythology. Germanic peoples, like other Indo-European peoples, originally had a three-tiered social political hierarchy. The first tier consisted of rulers, the second of warriors, and the third of farmers and others occupied with production and fecundity. Fecundity? Fecundity? I don't even know what that is.
Fecundity. Fecundity.
Fecundity. Ability to produce an abundance of offspring or new growth. Fertility. Fecundity. The gods and goddesses can be profitably mapped onto this schema. Representation of a plan or theory in the form of an outline or model on this. Okay. And Odin, along with Tyr, corresponds to the first tier, the rulers. The crucial difference between Tyr and Odin in this regard, however, is that Tyr has much more to do with rule by law and justice, whereas Odin has much more to do with rule by magic and cunning. Tyr is the sober and virtuous ruler. Odin is the devious, inscrutable, and inspired ruler. Paradoxically, Odin is often the favorite god and helper of outlaws, those who had been banished from society for some especially heinous crime as well. Like Odin, many such men were exceptionally strong willed warrior poets who were apathetic to established societal norms. Egil Skallagrimsson, Egil Saga, and Grettir Asmundarson, the Saga of Grettir the Strong, are two examples. Late 12th and early 13th century Danish historian Saxo. Oh, this is long. This is long. Let's find the Ravens. I really slowed this down by reading all of this. Accompanied by many familiar spirits, most notably the ravens and the wolves and the Valkyries. Okay. One of the most striking attributes of his appearance is his singular piercing eye. His other eye socket is empty. The eye it once held was sacrificed for wisdom. That's deep. So yesterday, I know it just doesn't have features of like an entire face or anything, but the thought occurred to me that this Australia of all places, and like this isn't everywhere where there's like a structure like this with this thing down the middle. It kind of looks like a closed eyelid. And then another structure over here with similar nature, two next to each other, only two next to each other. There's not like another one over here. But like if we look around, it's not really anything like that on South America. I mean, maybe something like this, but not really the same so much. And only there. Nothing up here. Not really the same. Nothing over here the same. Different, but like interestingly, like a thing that's like kind of in this. These two are kind of around and only there, but like not the same again. So basically, now that we've spun the globe everywhere, these two things are pretty singularly here, and they look like two eyes. They look like two eyes, and I immediately thought, well, even though that's two eyes, I know that it's actually one eye, because Australia rests on this nucleus here at the end of this ammonite structure that formed by the current flows that were compressing here. So it has this eye, but it doesn't have this eye. It literally doesn't have it. Here, it even looks like it's literally, it was here. That's exactly, find it. It's up here, across from this thing, generally to like here, and to like above these, this boundary above these to there. So like here to above these, so like this region here. So maybe that doesn't like pierce it directly through it, it more so goes below it, if anything. Maybe it goes into it too, this part. Or even pierced from above over here. Essentially, though, the structure has been compromised, i.e., penetrated through, and then like the materials pushed out by these current flows within it that then led to it not really resembling like this, but it did. It was much more like this than it is now, because we can see how it was much more like that. Like it's still visible on the surface. It's not just not visible in the undersurface, where these current flows built mounds in the blue and or mounds in the pink, and current paths of where the current flowed but didn't build mounds in the blue, leaving lower magnetic intensity than where like materials just compacted into support structures that hold this crust above that it's standing on, that the world tree rests on. Like these are like the roots of the world tree in a way. They're not the roots. No, I don't know. This here, the structure like this. Anyway, one eye, not two eyes. Two eyes. So Odin lost his eye. His other eye socket is empty. The eye it once held was sacrificed for wisdom, which is why I was like, huh, that's deep. Like, what if this is literally like across fractal scales? Like, Odin, the being of Odin, lost his eye, knowing it to be related to the outcome of Australia, because this is the cosmos just shifting between states, where they like where it says travels the cosmos, held the cosmos together. So maybe the earth held together by people confined the cosmos on purely self-interested quests. Like, he's not traveling. I'm not sure if they say world. Let's say world. We say world, like it's referring to world, like our world. But here, Yggdrasil is considered the world tree, not the cosmic tree. It might make more sense if it's considered the cosmic tree in terms of what I'm saying, honestly. Like, it doesn't quite align. Because essentially it seems like, although maybe the world tree is related to after the fact, and the cosmos is before the earth expanded, it is much more reflective of the cosmos. Okay, so we got to two eyes. Point being, just like everything else, Raven, I was like, okay, I know Odin is associated with Odin. If I just search for Odin animals, let's say, like, very associated with Odin. So just like everything else, I looked for what might be ravens, and I found this one, which I honestly think it's pretty not. It's not bad. It's not bad, because it's got the beak here. So let's say that's the beak. This is the head. Beak, head. But then we see kind of this spot here, like an eye, in this color. And then over here, maybe. So it's got kind of eyes. And then if you look at a raven, raven head. Like the way the top of the ravens, it almost looks like it has a hairdo instead of feathers. And it's got these dendritic mountain things coming off here. And then the wing spans out here. It's certainly kind of subtle, like it goes into this, and kind of doesn't have the same shape. It's not symmetrical. This one is kind of like, what is even happening here? I never noticed this. Whoa, what? Look at that. Just this little pat. Whoa. But then let's say this is a wing here. So it's kind of a raven, one raven here. In flight, presumably. Like, it's kind of like this. And then I looked around. And now we're going to finally get to what I noticed. Although there's the bird head here, I looked for any ways it might... It's kind of upside down now. Anyways, it might be part of a larger body, like back this way, and maybe it is. I don't see it, especially like maybe here with like a feet back here some reason. Really long feet if they go back that far. Legs, the legs are real long. Raven. It's just images. Certainly not remotely as long. So I just was like, well, maybe, just maybe not. Although maybe. I just don't see it quite, even though I'd like it to be because it's that obvious bird head. And then we got the panther relating also to North America, Native American prophecies and things where the ear here and down here, it's a tooth, the lip, nose, nostril, the upper portion of the head with an ear back there, eyeball here. Like, it's pretty good, and it's multiple. Like, there's also the one just sideways like this here. Not sure where I was thinking that is. Okay, but now we're looking for a raven. So I was looking around, like just kind of looking around. Do I see anything? And this pops out immediately. Like, okay, and we're looking for some kind of thing to like pivot off of. Like, if there is a structure like this, like I see this ear, so then I'd say, okay, that looks kind of like a top of a head, maybe that looks like an ear. Okay, that's good. We got an eyeball pretty clearly there, some kind of jawline, a tooth. Like, we get, okay, then like it literally just forms itself once like there's a pivot point. So I'm trying to do the same off of this as like a beak. I'm like, is this a beak? And then I kind of see this going back this way. And then over here, maybe, I'm not sure. Like, it's not quite the shape, but let's just say maybe instead of there, just down to here. Like, let's say down to here. Ultimately, maybe including that thing, but down to here from there. Just capturing this region and the whole of this. And then we see, like, there, like, immediately, this would be presumably a wing going out to, like, here, maybe. Maybe also other parts involved, but... So, like, a wing here, another wing out this way. Maybe to here. Somewhere over here. Maybe all the way out, even. It's a pretty long wingspan for a crow, so maybe over here. It's kind of more what I was thinking in this region. Not quite exactly smooth, but in terms of like a boundary. Missing some boundaries, but having wings and a head, which is a pretty good start. I mean, there's certainly like arguably like a foot here, and then maybe another foot here goes sideways. But they're all similarly to the Birdman in India, there, which is perched on the Himalayas. This raven is perched on Solomon Islands. And then it's got maybe like a tail back here in this region that has like feathers. Okay, so we got a potential other raven, and then I drew it. So here's the drawing. Now, Odin's ravens. And I found this raven that was pretty similar. Scroll into this bits. Odin's ravens. I mean, the head's a little derpy. The beak doesn't have like a slit, which would be cool if there was some kind of divide that was really distinguishable. Like maybe, I guess maybe there, but like the terrain over, because the ocean is hiding some details, it's hard to say. Like, it looks like there's no other beak. Like this would kind of just stop here. But I mean, that's about similar. Maybe some kind of nostril, even, I guess. Nothing too pronounced as like, whoa, that really fits well. As in similarities to like Nidhogg, where it's like it's a dragon, dudes. But so there's a raven. Here's a raven. This one upside down here now, with the beak this way. Top of the head here. Near Odin. Mind you, now let's go to these ravens. Hugin and Munin. Hugin and Munin. Hugin and Munin are two ravens who are helping spirits of the god Odin. According to the medieval Icelandic historian Snorri Sturluson, two ravens sit on his Odin's shoulders and whisper all the news which they see and hear into his ear. They are called Hugin and Munin. He sends them out into the morning to fly around the whole world, and by breakfast they are back again. Thus he finds out many things, and this is why he is called Raven God. Mind you, this ammonite structure here is decaying. It literally represents radioactive decay on a fractal scale of a system that formed with a nucleus and a shell that then had a current flow into it and caused it to decay. And then this current flow is here. I wonder. And certainly, like, the bird over here that's in this, like, the beak here, this current goes through it and then into this region, which then goes through the ammonite structure to the eye, through the maybe head of Odin in some way. So it's like the current goes through the bird into Odin. So maybe when it decays, this system is more like a decay sequence that isn't continuous, and like it basically builds up and builds up and builds up, and then it vents like enough pressure to just push whatever boundary formed that wasn't like permanent, kind of like a Bahar flow that I talk about in an episode about I think caterpillar marching on or something like that, where it flows and then it just doesn't have as much pressure anymore because it's essentially like compressed because there's a boundary and there's this pressure pushing in, and then it elongates, and so it's not as compressed anymore, but that pressure keeps pushing, and then it elongates once it compresses to overcome the resistance. So that this like radioactive decay sequence over here is essentially doing the same thing, presumably, and maybe that's what it's talking about in terms of he sends them out in the morning to fly around the whole world. So there's some kind of like all this current coming in, and then like a expulsion, and then current comes in, and then psh. Hugin and Munin fly every day over all the world. So this isn't quite fitting because these are kind of stationary looking. These structures, like it's not like It's not like this is flying all around the whole world, although maybe, I guess it's possible that because it's material that accumulated under South America, which I talk about in an episode called something in the womb of Mother, from the womb of Mother Earth, where this whole region was like incubated underneath South America. So maybe these materials were flying throughout the world until they got like stuck under South America enough in a way where it like actually had some kind of exchange like it's talking about here. Connection between Odin and ravens is very old and very deep, already in the 6th and 7th centuries AD. So at least in the 6th. So maybe I don't know exactly, I don't know the history of Norse mythology whatsoever. I just came across something that said 1000 AD. So we're seeing 6th century AD, so at least something in that time frame, well before the beginning of the Viking Age in the late 8th century. Visual depictions of Odin on helmets and jewelry frequently picture him accompanied by one or more ravens. Skaldic poetry of the Viking Age often used kennings in kennings. Kenning is a stylish device that was commonly used in Old Norse poetry. Paraphrases? Phrases? Oh. Okay. Involving ravens to refer to Odin and vice versa. Kenning is a common Old Norse literary device that uses images from a body of traditional lore to refer to something rather than calling it by its everyday name. Odin is called the Raven God, the Raven Tempter, or the Priest of the Raven Sacrifice. Sacrifice? Like it's not flying anymore. It's just here, part of the panther. Maybe. This is surely a poetic way of describing fallen warriors as sacrifices to the ravens and other carrion birds. I also wonder if like the currents are sweeping in the global flood that's occurring, that's causing all this, are bringing literal bodies down under Australia. Like corpses are just flowing in these rivers and just being brought and deposited somewhere in a way where it actually, like, in a dark and kind of morbid way, like there are sacrifices of being humans, fallen warriors, other carrion birds with Odin as a decider of who lives and who dies in battle. I mean, these radioactive decay sequences over here maybe are involved in extinction events. Certainly, the supervolcanoes of Australia are timed at the Permian Triassic boundary when the Siberian traps were erupting, are related to that and related to the Permian extinction. So maybe it's even more the cause in a way where there is a like close connection where Odin is a decider. Like when the decay happened underneath Australian sequences, it led to these extinction events. And maybe one of them happened at the KT boundary that really caused the system over here to be able to be ejected as Hawaii, as a sphere of Hawaii. Although I'm not sure what the relationship to the KT boundary would be to Australia, to this structure. Certainly what's going on over here is related. So maybe it's just like decaying and releasing energy that's going ultimately into here, like feeding more energy than just this current and this current and any other currents that sorry, pardon me guys. In the same vein, ravens are called the greedy hawks of Odin, or else his swan, his seagull, or showing how far the bird equivalencies could be stretched, his cuckoo. Cuckoo? Sometimes Kennings use Hugin as a substitute for raven. Blood is designated as Hugin's sea, or Hugin's drink. The warrior in battle is the reddener of Hugin's claws. Reddener, blood. I wonder if blood is much more like magma. Because the reddener of Hugin's claws. If Hugin's claws are over here, here, right? Here. I wonder if it's not as volcanic there. Certainly there's earthquakes in the region. If we just check that out. Oh, there's one right there. 5.1. In the one day. Let's say 7 days. That was the biggest one there. 6:20. 3 hours ago. Coco's plate. Coco's plate. Hugin's feet. Battle is Hugin's feast. The poets occasionally use Munin's name in the same way, but Hugin's is far more common. Maybe reflective of the differences where this one's like huge. This one's little, it's dark, it's got a lot of like features to it that the other one doesn't, but it also, maybe this is an eye here, really, and then the opposite there. But it's got features that the other one doesn't, and even here I didn't notice this, like little feathers. Maybe another layer of feathers. Does it? How many? Let's check out some ravens again. Oh yeah, layers of feathers. That's a drawing. There we go. It's almost like it has an aura. That's incredible. What is going on here? These shapes are very odd. Oh my god, it's got the little feller points all the way down. Maybe this is more Raven-like than I realized. Like, I thought it was pretty Raven-like, but I also feel like people will be like, no. Nope. This is all stupid. You're stupid. And maybe it's not the right one or something. Maybe I'm stretching, but it really does have a lot of the features, so I feel like probably not. And on top of that, it has a lot of features. It has a lot of interesting, a lot of the features. It has a lot of interesting features, like this here, and like these. Just whatever's going on here is pretty interesting. Is this? Oh, maybe it's just planted. Wait. I don't. It's hard. I don't know. Like Australia's history. Like, did they do that? Did they shape these like this, or is that just like based on the minerals and things available in the soil? That's naturally shaping it like that to a degree. Like probably shaped also by humans. This looks maybe straight up man-made shape there. Like this is not. This is not man-made. So maybe it's just like this. It's just weird. Well, is that a raven? Like just a head peeking out. Similar to the snakes in North America that are just everywhere. Maybe there's like raven heads. But yeah, this, whatever's going on here. Whoa. It's definitely channels forming, suggestive of a current going this way. With like a nucleus here. Like it comes in this way here, and then it starts to go this way into the. It hits resistance enough where it goes this way, and maybe up and around this way, up this way, and also out this way. All of which is part of this raven head. Comes in basically to the ear of the raven. anything going above the surface. Like it's going below, but it's also going above. Both just saturating the surface with whatever is all happening across all angles. Whew, that makes me think of something real quick. It's just not visible here. Did they change this? Whoa, it looks like they changed it. I thought maybe they got rid of it. That'd be incredible if it was scrubbed. By changing the method of scrubbing, not necessarily consciously, but just subconsciously scrubbed by a method of changing this color shaded relief. Or maybe I just loaded somewhere else. So there's these things going on here that are very odd. Right next to Dwarka. Ancient Dwarka, these things that seemingly go along like the extent of the continental crust. And then over here, where I was just looking, is all this. I mean, maybe it's... Maybe it's the ships, but like, what kind of ships and like method of patching together data or whatever exactly explanation we have does this on top of these? Like, it has too many lines. There's just so many lines. I guess they just traveled this a lot because it kind of doesn't look... It looks too... like it should continue up here. Although maybe it got... No, I don't know what to make of it. Just thinking maybe it got covered with stuff. But whatever's going on here is very odd. And it's very close to this. Although it's near here, so it doesn't really make sense. Unless the expansion of the Earth was different stages and this was able to stabilize for a time and people live there, I guess. I don't know why they would live specifically here in such abundance. It seems like it's probably just in the data, but I just thought I'd mention it while we were over here, and it popped in my head. Looks like a mouth and maybe a chin and eyeball, lower jaw, or brow, front of head, this side. Okay, it's about an hour, so I don't have anything particular to add. I kind of wasted a bit of time reading the Odin stuff. Maybe not wasted, just it was a lot of time. And I was really trying to get to the Ravens. Oh my god. Just picture Odin opening his eye. Decay. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Decay. Nope. Decay. Darn. Somewhere I read Odin Ravens Decay. The word decay came up when I was looking into this earlier. I don't know where the article is. Obviously not here, but it goes on my phone. Anyway, the word decay came up, I'm pretty sure. I can't find it, so, I mean, maybe, maybe not. But, because I'm not completely sure, so I'm not. Maybe I'm not mistaken on the topic, but I'm pretty sure it was about the Ravens, because that's what I was looking into. I don't know why else the word would have been intriguing to me, because again, the decay, radioactive decay, and then the energy's going out here, going this way, through the birds, up this way, through this, by this current. Oh, one current's going this way, so when energy flows out here, it gets generally in this current. It goes up this way through the first raven, up this way through the second raven, and then it ultimately goes over here, feeding this system until it bursts free. Hawaii bursts free. All these currents coming in. The sphere of Hawaii gets moved throughout the earth until it breaks apart and lays at the ocean bed as the Emperor Hawaiian seamount chain. Decay, though, is part of the process. Anyway, there's also another eye here. Interesting. Interesting. I knew that there was another one in my head. That's right, it's in this map. I was like, I thought there was another one like over here that's subtle. Now that I'm thinking, wait, is it on, when I said it's 2 eyes, not 3 eyes? It's like over here. So it's almost like his eye. This eye is over here. Wow, could it be? I don't know. Like he's got it with him, but it's not adjacent to this eye. It's like atop it, so it's and sideways. Weirdly, where these were more adjacent. Pretty much looking like actual eyes, and even like a nose type of region to the between them. All right, I'll be back. I don't know when. Probably soon. I'm going away for like 10 days, so I won't be posting then. But that's all in 2 days. So until then, peace out.